And welcome back to the Midday Show. I'm Jeff Everett. He is Mark Messina. It's a cold Monday morning. We're not together today, but we're going to make this work the best that we can. Unfortunately, the death of Bob Saget, we're going to talk about his history and everything. I don't want to say that he meant to us. I feel like I probably had more of a connection to Bob Saget than maybe you did, just because of my age. And then there's some stuff with Mother Nature that we're going to talk about. And then football frenzy after what just happened this past weekend. And then obviously the big game tonight. We thought we would wrap it up with that. Before we get to all of that, Mark, how are you feeling today?
It's cold outside.
It's freezing.
It is. I mean, only one. It's funny when I get to the office, and today I was, because I'm out spreading salt on the sidewalk and whatever. I certainly wasn't here first thing in the morning. And when I show up and it's just dark and it's locked, and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm the only one here. And then here we are, like 3 hours later, I'm still the only one here. So I kind of take that personally, I think. I don't know.
I don't know what to think. I've noticed it. I've felt it. I don't think things are shutting down, but I feel like people are shutting down. Kind of, I don't know if it's the time of the year, if it's COVID, if it's just kind of everything else going on. But it feels like things are slowing down.
Yeah, I mean, I think we talked, what was the simple winter pleasures? Yeah. I think there is a, I think yesterday, cold, crappy weather. It was a Sunday. I think Central Pennsylvania was very happy to stay home.
Sure.
It was the last week of the football season. It didn't mean, the Eagles didn't even play. The Steeler game obviously meant the world, and then the night game meant the world to the Steelers and all that. But I just think there's a beauty in the simplicity of, I can't go anywhere, so let's just sit here. And, every now and then that's not bad. It happens too much, you go crazy. But then every now and then when you're forced, when the world just says sit on the couch for hours, there's something beautiful about that.
There is. The other thing that I've noticed too, and you have kids, so you may have noticed this, the 2-hour delays and the school cancellations are coming way sooner than what they usually do. Have you noticed that?
Yes. Okay. I was just telling my kids when I went to college, I had a buddy whose dad was in education, and he did not call them 2-hour delays. He called them 2-hour delights because they're a delay. And I got the notification. So right away I texted my daughter and my son, and one was downstairs, one was down the hall. And they were so excited. I remember as a little kid getting up in the morning, sitting in the bathroom, with the radio on, trying to keep everything dark and trying not to wake up too much. You had to listen to Gary Chrisman go through the report. And then if you heard you went back to bed, but you didn't want to be too awake so you could get more sleep. And now I think we found out last night at like 6:30. It was
that's crazy.
Really early.
I think it also everything's just more prepped for it now. They're used to remote work. They're just, I don't know. There seems to be much more of a willingness now to promote the 2-hour delay or the school cancellation. Whereas I feel like 3 years ago, you had to hold on to the day. You don't want to lose the day until you absolutely knew you had to lose it. And now I feel like they don't feel that way. They don't feel like they're losing the entirety of the day.
Well, I think they just want a 2-hour delay. They don't care. They just want to count it. Check it off the list. Another day of school. Boom.
Put it in the box. Let's stay with Mother Nature, because I don't know if you've seen. I think I hinted to you there a week ago. There was a snowstorm in Japan. There was also a snowstorm. Did you see the one in Pakistan that just happened recently?
I did not.
The last day or two. So there was a snowstorm in Pakistan. 21 tourists at a Pakistani resort are now dead after being snowed in. Yes, after being snowed in. It's basically being called a deadly winter storm. They've ordered an inquiry and putting in place strong regulations to ensure prevention of such tragedies. Hindsight is 2020, but it's on Muri Mountain in Pakistan. And now they're saying it could be over 24 as well might be dead on the roads in Pakistan that have been stranded. So almost 50 total dead in Pakistan due to a winter storm. Unusual. Pakistan does have snow, but usually it doesn't come in clumps. Usually it doesn't come in this amount. So just after
Japan, it usually comes in flakes.
It usually comes in flakes. They usually don't get dumped on. Is that a good North Central PA term to use? So usually Pakistan does not get dumped on. But that is now, we talked about Virginia having the traffic delay. Do you remember we also talked about the pub up in, I want to say in Ireland?
It was in Great Britain, northern Great Britain somewhere.
That's what it was. The pub that got snowed in, I-95 being trapped, Japan having their giant snowstorm, Pakistan. This is the most, I don't know if it's just news coverage expanding, but this is by far the most news about just people being snowed in or stuck in snow from across the globe.
Well, I read something this morning about how the last 5 years or the last 7 years were the 7 hottest on record on the planet, and how it's, this bad trend that is continuing. But they said the El Nino that we had at the end of 2021 is good for colder weather coming early so far in early 2022. So, and it certainly feels that way. I don't know, like the end, it was warm in December. It ain't warm now at all.
No, this has been cold. The other Mother Nature one, and I should have sent you the video. I did a poor job of this. Have you seen the rock fall in Brazil?
No, I've not.
Okay, this is my fault because I should have sent this to you after the show today. If you have not seen this yet, go look it up. It's a tough video to watch, but it is a once-in-a-lifetime video. There is a boating tour in Brazil, and they go around. It's almost, imagine Niagara Falls, essentially.
Okay.
So you kind of go in the boat. Yeah, you go in the boat, and you're kind of along the rock ledges, and the waterfalls are kind of around you, and it's a Brazil-style Niagara Falls. However, as people, there were a bunch of boats in this kind of little, almost like a cul-de-sac of waterfalls. Is that a fair way to put it?
Okay.
The shape. And they're just kind of hanging out there. And then the side of a cliff falls, like basically separates from the wall, and a rock fall just smashes. It's almost like seeing a tower of rock fall and lands smack dab onto some of these boats. 10 of the tourists are dead. At the time when it first happened, they were saying that there were almost 32 people missing. And the video is everywhere. There's different angles you can see because obviously it's a tourist site. So everybody had their camera out. Everybody had their phone out. It's not gory in the sense of you can actually see people dying. But it's a queasiness because you know like what's happening is very, very dramatic and a serious thing. But if you have not seen the video yet, it is once in a lifetime video of this huge rock just separating and just falling straight down. And then it's just a race by the boats trying to get away from it before it hits the water. And unfortunately, not every single one of them did. So if your stomach can handle that, it's a video. I don't want to say it's worth seeing, but it is a once in a lifetime video.
Wow. I will find it. I don't even know. I'm not sure if I can handle that. I don't like stuff like that.
It's like I said, it's not gory, but there's like an impending doom. You and I always kind of joked with you that idea of like when people know there's going to be a car crash, they just can't get it out, right? Dane Cook used to have a really good skit about it. And like, it's happening, but like you can't look away, but you can't really get the words out. Watching this video is very similar. Like you can't look away from it, but at the same time, like it's not great. But again, really unique video. If you get a chance to check it out, it's making its way on, YouTube and TikTok, and it's going viral. But Mother Nature has not been kind here in the last 2 weeks around the world.
No, I would agree with that. I would agree.
Let's go.
You're profound. That was my profound statement of the day.
Let's go with Bob Saget. This is a general statement, and it's weird to start this question off, but I've always been curious. I've always thought there's not a lot of middle ground with Bob Saget. There are people who love Bob Saget, and there are people that really could do without him. They didn't think he was that great. Where did you kind of fall on Bob Saget?
Well, he comes across and understanding. Thankfully, I wish I was younger, but thankfully I came along after Full House and I didn't end up being stuck watching that show. He just comes across as so dorkily wholesome, that there was a lovableness to him. But I think to the people you're talking about, the people who could, in the take or leave, the people who could leave them with America's Funniest Home Videos, the jokes were so corny,
right,
that they were either great because they were so corny. You either loved the corniness or you couldn't stand the corniness. And now he probably didn't write most of them. I'm sure he wrote some of them, but you can understand why there are people who needed a little adultness in there and just couldn't take him anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, I know exactly what you mean.
But as a PG, lovable comedian, like, there was nobody better.
Yeah. Oh, for that, the role he played for Full House. So what was unique for me is the description you gave of how you were thankful you didn't grow up at that point. That was my point. Full House was right in my wheelhouse of, like, right before my teens, and that was the show. And I remember loving him in Full House and just America's Funniest Home Videos. We didn't watch it religiously on Sunday nights, but it was on all the time. And he kind of, I just remember thinking, like, he just seemed like this very genuine, nice guy. Now, the funny part, and for a lot of people my age, after Full House and America's Funniest Home Videos, he actually was in Entourage. I don't know if you've ever watched Entourage on HBO.
No.
But it was a very successful show and a big hit. And so for a lot of us that watched Entourage, we got to see the other side of Bob Saget, which was more of his perverted stand-up side of things. Because if you've ever seen his stand-up, it is very adult-oriented.
I never have.
Yeah, it's very adult-oriented. I dare say raunchy. I mean, it's not brutal, but it is very not what you're expecting from the dad in Full House. And there's a lot of great stories going around now, interviews of when he was offered the job, when he was offered the part in Full House, he kind of did a double take. Like, are you sure you have the right guy? Like, have you seen my stand up? Are you sure this is it? And they're like, no, yeah, we're sure this is it. And so for me, there's certain people that kind of you ride their wave of, I don't want to call it stardom, but like their career trajectory goes along with your age, and you just happen to hit every time you get older, they happen to do something that falls into your wheelhouse. And so for me, like going from 8, 9, 10 Full House to preteens, America's Funniest Home Videos, and then into Entourage in college, and then into his stand-up afterwards, he just was somebody that he was never out of my life, and from an entertainment standpoint.
Well, the other thing too, he was the voiceover in How I Met Your Mother.
Yes.
So you growing up, you were one of the millions of red-blooded American boys who were in love with the Olsen twins.
I don't even think it was the Olsen twins. I do remember my sister and some of my cousins, they were very much into they had like the detective shows. Do you remember this at all? It was Mary Kay and Ashley. Yeah, they used to have these like detective videos, these VHSs, and
the corny movies like Mary-Kate and Ashley Take Paris and all that stuff.
So it was like that, but they used to have these solved. It was almost like Scooby-Doo-esque, where Mary-Kate and Ashley were going to solve these crimes. And so I do remember that. I remember with Full House, I don't even know if it was a character necessarily, but I do remember it was the first time watching something where it was for me, like at that level, it was very relatable isn't the word, but I just remembered at the end of every episode, they always kind of had it figured out, but it was always realistic. Because even if you watch Family Matters, there's a lot of stuff with Urkel that it was very nonfiction. Like Urkel had a time machine in one episode, and Urkel used to change his demeanor. And even in other shows at that time period, like Boy Meets World, there used to be some funky episodes that stuff wasn't always realistic. Full House was just always very real. And I don't mean that by like every household has multiple uncles and multiple kids walking around, but it was just every episode kind of dealt with an issue that you could relate to. And I don't know
Rick and Morty.
Yeah, like Rick and Morty that you and your son watch. You and Jimmy would actually be really good, Rick and Morty. That'd be good for Halloween.
That's a good idea. And I do not watch Rick and Morty with my son. That's a lie. I would never allow him to watch such a show.
Anything else? Heather says his sitcoms made him dorkly wholesome, but his stand-up was super not for kids. I agree. Completely.
I will have to check out his stand-up. I would have never guessed that.
Yeah, I'm surprised that you've never seen it before. Red Fox was the same way. He played nice characters on TV, but his stand-up was adult. Yeah, so that was.
I know Red Fox. He was. Didn't he have? He had an infamous one, like in a plain brown wrapper, one of his comedy records back in the day. Fred Sanford was lovable as all get out. You don't remember Sanford and Son, do you?
Oh, I remember Sanford and Son. I just didn't. It was never something I watched consistently.
Yeah, Sanford and Son was good. That was, yeah. Oh yeah.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Last thing we wanted to talk about today. We just wanted to wrap up the football weekend. Where do you? I mean, there's a lot of different ways to go on this. I'll be selfish. I would like to apologize for the Indianapolis Colts. I'd like to apologize to the fans, the commissioner. I'm embarrassed that we somehow did not get into the playoffs these last 2 weeks. Did you watch the game that everyone's talking about, the Chargers Raiders fiasco?
Absolutely. Watched every moment.
Okay, initial thoughts on it.
It was the greatest from someone who's a Cowboy fan who had zero dogs in the fight.
Mm-hmm.
I was riveted from I was rooting for overtime just to put people through anguish. I can only imagine what Steeler fans were going through. You know, just with the Steeler game, and they were losing, and then they rallied to win, and they got to win, and then they had to go through this, and what are the odds it ends up in a tie? And oh my God, it's Did you see it? Did you see how it went to overtime?
So I saw how it went to overtime. I also saw how it ended. I've heard a couple people say that they should put in a no ties on week 18. And I kind of agree with that.
Nah. Disagree.
No, you don't think so?
What are the odds? What are the freaking... Here's the thing. If your Colts don't absolutely crap the bed, none of this even matters. It matters to those guys, but it doesn't matter to the Steelers. Like, the only reason we really care is because we could picture about 30 people having aneurysms while this is going on, trying to watch and think, is somebody going to score? And then they kicked one, and then they kicked another to tie it and overtime. Oh, it was awesome. It was so awesome.
But see, I don't know. I don't think the Raiders wanted to score at the end. I think them.
I think they wanted to, but they also knew.
I think it was safer for them to not score, and they knew that. I think they knew as long as we have possession of the football, we cannot lose, and that's all that matters. In that moment, winning did not matter. Not losing mattered.
Correct. So, I mean, when you look at it, it all comes down to the last running play when the guy got like 10 yards or whatever he got. If they'd have made a tackle at the line, it would have been over.
Would you have
question of the coach calling timeout with 38 seconds to go, that changes things. They just needed one tackle, and they would have let it run out, and everything. People would have complained for 24 hours, and then it would have been on to the playoffs. So it was awesome. I texted someone in the middle of overtime or something. I said, the football gods are not going to let Ben go out this way. And I really think that there was whether it was John Madden from above or somebody, opened a hole and got him a field goal chance.
Would you have kicked the field goal at the end?
If I was the Raiders?
Yes.
We were talking about that because if something would have gone wrong and it got blocked and then they
correct.
But it's a division rival, and you don't want to give your division. It's much better for the Raiders for the Chargers to be out. Maybe the Chargers fire the head coach. If the Chargers get in the postseason and make a run, and it becomes a more attractive destination for free agents or any of that other stuff, they just help the Chargers in the draft a little bit. but on the national spectrum and in the psyche of who the Chargers are, whatever, they want to beat their division rival. They want to keep them pressed down. And if the Steelers, they'd rather the Steelers get in than the Chargers get in. So yes, I do. But when you talk about it like that, in other sports, there's lots of time. In basketball, you stop shooting and you just hold the ball out and dribble the clock out and let them foul you. And the only reason you shoot is because the rules make you shoot. But
sure,
in baseball, you give up runs. You trade runs for outs if you have a big lead, and it's a once in a lifetime thing. They don't have to change the rules from it. And because the rules are what they are, if there was a no tie rule, it wouldn't have had nearly the drama. And the only people who want the no tie rule were Steeler fans. Everyone else in America thought it was awesome.
Have you looked at the playoff bracket?
I have.
The only thing, and I'm a stickler for this, I just don't think you should play someone in your division in the first round.
I think is unfair of it is the Raiders played last night. They were the last game. It went overtime, whatever. And now the Raiders play the first playoff game on Saturday afternoon. And I don't know why they stuck that. I know they always look at TV, and I'm sure in the world, Raiders at Cincinnati is not a huge national draw. They have New England and Buffalo on prime time, and then the next day they have the Eagles early and the Cowboys middle and the Steelers and the Chiefs late. But I just don't think it's fair to the Raiders that of all the teams to turn around and go first, why they have to go first.
Do you like the 7 seeds?
No.
I don't think I do either.
I think it waters
This is
it
why
down.
it's surprising to me too, though, because I'm pro expanding everything. And there's something that, I don't know, nothing against the Eagles. I'm going to bother some people. I just don't think the Eagles and Steelers are playoff teams. I don't know. I don't know if the 7 seed should matter or should be in this.
Well, way back when, and this is what's crazy, way back when it was just 4. There was 1 wild card because they had 4, and then they expanded to they had 2 wild cards. And I think the first weekend was just wild card games. Mm-hmm. And they let those 2 play in, and they played off from there. Then they went to 3 wild cards, and the worst division winner had to play in the first weekend. And I guess it adds excitement. It adds meaning to to the last week of the season. I'll tell you what, I like 7 playoff teams better than I like 17 weeks. I thought week 17 it's just, you're asking for trouble. And there's a lot of bad football, and there's a lot of hurt guys, and there will be more hurt guys. And I know, and when you look at the Steelers, and it was exciting as can be, but the Steelers-Ravens game were exciting because Lamar Jackson was out, and it was ugly exciting. At least the nightcap was fun exciting.
No, I agree. Imagine Pennsylvania if there were no 7 seeds. The NFL literally picked up the entire demographic of Pennsylvania next weekend.
That's true. That is true. And it's one that I can't believe. I told this to multiple people yesterday. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm rooting for the Steelers because I thought it was a good story and I thought it was fun. And it is just better for our region if the Steelers and or the Eagles are in the playoffs, and the fact that they're both in the playoffs. Next Sunday, Eagles at 1, Cowboys at 4, Steelers at 8. I don't. If you're a central Pennsylvania person, I don't know what could be better.
I wonder. I would love to see economically what picking up the entire state of Pennsylvania means for the NFL. How much, what do you think that adds to their revenue or to their, you know what I mean? Because
I wonder,
grabbing the entire state.
And I wonder what it means for Pennsylvania. Just bars and restaurants. I know a guy that used to work for I knew a guy that worked for Utz Chips, and as it was getting further to the playoffs, he said, a Steelers-Eagles Super Bowl will make me all kinds of money. Sure. So just this one extra week, and both on Sunday, it's typical because Saturday's great, but it's still kind of different. They have a Monday night game this year, which is cool, but it's different. It's Sunday. Sunday NFL football. The Eagles are at 1. The Cowboys against not against Brady. The Cowboys and the Niners are at 4, and the Steelers are at 8. Like, it is a wonderful, wonderful day for Pennsylvania football.
I love that you keep adding in the Niners-Cowboys games for Pennsylvania football.
We're America's team.
Like, you and Massey, if it wasn't for you or Massey, like, no one, like, why do you keep bringing that up?
What country is Pennsylvania in? It's in America. Who is America's team? So we got Pennsylvania, America, and then Pennsylvania all in one day.
I can't do it. Winner for tonight's game.
I can't do it. That's it. Can't. Jeff has given up on the conversation. What'd you say? Winner for tonight?
Yep.
My son's like, why Georgia's going to get killed? I don't think so. You know, there's adjustments. They've had lots of film to watch, and I know, like, I'm very, very curious. I cannot believe that Alabama's just going to run over him again. I think Georgia's going to shock the world and take it to the buzzer. Because right now, I don't think anyone gives Georgia a chance. I don't even. What's the line?
I haven't.
Do we know? 7? I mean, the last time they got smoked. In the SEC championship game, Georgia got literally taken to the woodshed. And when I say literally, I mean figuratively. But I think they're going to play well. I really, really think they're going to play well.
Do you think there's an aspect of this that if you're Alabama, you'll always get there? But if you're Georgia, they really feel like we've got to do this. Like who knows if we're back again? Like, do you think there's some of that into this? Because I do. I think if you're Georgia, it's like throwing the kitchen sink out. Like, I think you can't leave anything behind. And I think that's what gives them the advantage. Not to be corny, but like that's what it is for me.
I totally agree with you. And the thing I love about this is for years and years and years, people argued about the best way for a college football national championship or playoff. And when I'd listen to these people, and it's been going on my whole life, and I would laugh and say, you realize there's no perfect system. You know, we have these professional, nobody complains about the way all the professional leagues do their playoffs. And there are crazy scenarios all over the place that are unfair and don't work out and all this stuff. And that they think a college football playoff will be perfect and crown the champion. So you tell me Georgia goes out and wins tonight by 3? They're the best team in the country? Of course not. Alabama beat them by 1 billion on a neutral field. So if Alabama wins by 1 billion one game and loses by 2 in the next game, you're going to tell me Georgia's the champion just because they won it the right week? So, I mean, it's fun. And it makes it fun to watch and all that stuff. But this is what, whenever anyone talks about, well, we'll make the playoff better and we'll make the playoff and this way is better and this way is better. You get a system like this sucks. Because if you're Alabama, you're like, we already proved we're better than they did. We did it on a neutral field. And we drug them up and down the field.
I agree with the first sentiment. The second sentiment I disagree with because I don't think it does suck. I think it's been way more exciting since they've introduced the playoff. And I think expanding it is only going to make it more exciting.
Well, I'm excited to watch the game tonight.
Yeah, exactly.
But you tell me if you're Alabama, how this is fair at all.
Oh, it's not. But again, it comes back to the idea of it's not about fair. In every other major sporting event, you have to play the game. And up until this point, only in college football did you really have to play a finite amount of games. In every other sport, you had to play the same teams again. You have to prove again that you are the best. College football was the only one that was like, oh, we're good. Like, you're in. Like, it's cool. Like, you're top 2, go for it. Go figure it out. I think this way is better and more exciting. Do I agree with you that we won't always have the best team? Totally agree with you. That's the whole point of it. If you always just have the best team, it's stagnant. It's no fun. That's why we started a playoff.
If the reason to have a championship is to figure out who the best team in the country is, we've already figured it out because these two teams played on a neutral field and one beat the crap out of the other one.
But we already know. But here's the other issue, because part of what you keep saying is figuring out who the best team is. And the problem with football is you can't have a series because in all these other sports, the way we quote unquote find the best team is you have to prove you're 3 games better than this team or you're 4 games better than this team.
That's fair.
And football is just not conducive to that.
And don't get me wrong.
So you have to come up with a format that's one and done that works. I think a playoff format is significantly better than a non-playoff format trying to find the best team.
No, I agree with you. And it's like the same thing happens in March Madness sometimes. When UConn won the title one year, they took 9th in their conference. 9th. Yes. They're the 9th best team in the Big East, but they're the best team in the country. So just as long as people accept it for what it is, and it's just a tournament. You have to be invited. You have to be, you have to earn your way into the tournament, but then it's a team that gets hot at the right time. But listen, I'm absolutely rooting for Georgia. I think there are 49 states tonight rooting for. I think half of Alabama's rooting for Georgia. Well, maybe not half, but the Auburn people are. So, I mean, I'll be right there with them. And if they win by 1, I'll laugh all the way to bed.
They are 2.5-point favorites tonight against
That's
Alabama.
It.
This might be the comment of 2022 so far. Cowboys are okay, but I have to hate them. Texas has the Alamo. Philadelphia has the Declaration of Independence. Pittsburgh is a sad place to live. No, you got to digest that.
Well, I mean, have you ever been to Pittsburgh's a nice city.
Every time I hate getting to Pittsburgh, but every time I'm in Pittsburgh, I'm like, this is really nice.
Yes, it's much easier to get to Philadelphia. There's a reason they call it Philadelphia, and then there's Pittsburgh, because Pittsburgh's a nicer place. There's no doubt about it. Now it has like 1/5 of the people. Like, it's much easier. But
Joe says an undefeated Southern Columbia Tigers girls basketball team plays Loyal Sock tonight in CI's gym. Who you got?
He's talking to you.
He's talking to me. I mean, I have Loyal Sock. I'm a company guy. Like, what am I supposed to say? It's Loyal Sock. Loyal Sock with the win tonight. I don't know if I call it. I don't think I call it an upset. I think it's a very good game. I'll tell you this: Southern Columbia. For anybody who doesn't follow like local girls basketball, Southern Columbia has girls like this sounds condescending, and I don't mean it this way. They are big and long, and they cover ground. When you watch Southern Columbia girls basketball play, they are not like there's not a lot of wink links on the floor. They are very big and very good.
I'm assuming at least some of these girls just won a state soccer title.
I would assume most of them probably.
It's hard to be unathletic and immobile and win state soccer titles. So, yes. I mean, it is, from the little that I know, Southern Columbia is the team to beat. Because it's at Loyal Sock, it gives Loyal Sock that home court advantage. But on a neutral court, Southern Columbia would be favored, but it should be a dandy.
I could be wrong, and for anybody listening, if they know, and forgive me, I'm pretty sure Southern Columbia, too, is like very experienced. I know they have a couple of girls that have been starting now 2 or 3 years. They have a center that's been there. It feels like she's been there for 6 years. That's great around the basket. She's still there as well. And then they have a Tillett girl that is a very, very good athlete as well. They're just very good. And they kind of, I don't know if they get slept on because of the football team or because just the Hack 1 is so good. Like when you look at that division and Central Columbia and Loyal Sock and Mount Carmel, and I don't know if they just get slept on because of that, but Southern Columbia is very, very, very good.
Well, I was just thinking one of the, and I know in the echelons, especially, there's always football, and then we're in such a huge wrestling section of the world. And, boys basketball always outdraws girls basketball. And that probably has a lot to do with notoriety or lack thereof. But you get down towards the coal region in Columbia County and Montour County with Southern and Mount Carmel and Central and Bloomsburg. They're just not pretty good. Like, they are loaded. It is a ridiculous little hotbed of you would have a tough time going anywhere in the country and finding some little rural podunk area that is as small as that is, and finding these and these aren't huge schools. These are like single A, double A, what is Central Columbia, maybe triple. These aren't huge schools.
So
they are good.
Yeah. Central Columbia girls in basketball are 4A now. And then I believe Southern Columbia is still 2A. Mount Carmel is still 2A. So they fluctuate a little bit. But yeah.
Is Bloom's not very big either. Bloom's 3. Bloom's smaller than Central. Anyway, these teams are good. They are not like pretty good or good. I mean, every area has to have a team that wins a championship. So even the bad areas have a championship team. These teams are loaded.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. For people unfamiliar with sports, the HAC, the Heartland Athletic Conference, the girls basketball, I believe it's the HAC 2, so it's the smaller. I hate saying lower as if like
I know
because it's right now it is loaded. It's better than the HAC 1.
Well, all those 4 teams plus Loyal Sock are all in the same size.
Yes.
I mean, it is a bloodbath.
Oh yeah. There's teams that go under 500 in that division, and then like when they get to districts, like could win their district, or when they go to states, like could win a state game. It's very impressive. Yeah. All right, anything else before we head out?
Well, Mount Carmel won last year.
Yeah, Mount Carmel won the state championship. Yes.
Yeah, the girls.
Mount Carmel won the 2A. Loyal Sock girls put up a heck of a game against West Catholic in the state semis. West Catholic, I don't think West Catholic had a game like within 10 points, and Sock was down 6 with like 3 minutes to go. I mean, they really gave them everything they had. So, and Mount Carmel too. What Verano does at Mount Carmel is out of this world. It's absolutely ridiculous. For those of you who don't know, Lisa Verano, I don't want to make up numbers because I don't know how long she's been there. But when you talk about like consistency and just continually finding ways to win at a school where you're graduating maybe 70 kids, 75 kids. I mean, Mount Carmel can't graduate more than 40 girls a year, I'm assuming. And every single year, they are a district title contender. They win it more times than not. And then last year, throughout COVID, they found a way to win a state championship. It's ridiculous what she pulls off.
No, it is real. And
she's in a hotbed for poaching too. And I'm not to take anything away from Catholic or charter schools and what they accomplish, but like in her region, like it is not unusual for a kid to end up at Lourdes. It is not unusual for a kid to end up at Nori. It is just over and over again. She finds ways to keep athletes or to build them. And I don't know. It's very impressive.
Yeah, every time I see a really good, I saw Montoursville girls played at Loyal Sock the other night. And great crowd. You weren't there, were you?
No.
Great crowd from both sides. It is, with each passing year, it is shocking how much girls basketball has developed. Just from a skill, not just from a skill level, but from a depth level. Like the good teams are bringing girls off the bench who can shoot, who can, you're kind of, I just remember what girls basketball was like when I was a kid. And to what it is now, strategy-wise, coaching-wise, depth-wise, skill-wise, it's impressive. That if you're bored tonight and you like basketball and you won't miss much of the NCAA game. What does that probably kicks off at 8:30, probably 8:40.
It's pretty late.
If you want to go to Loyal Sock and watch it, it'll be fantastic. It will. If you like basketball, it will be incredibly entertaining.
Just to piggyback off of what you said. It is amazing how many girls teams press and they're good at it and they're effective at it. More girls.
See, I don't think that shocks me because I think most of the good girls basketball players either have been or still are soccer players. And they're used to moving. The thing, when you get to boys basketball, you've got a lot of football players it's just different. So I think that doesn't surprise me that the good girls teams can always move, even like the post players, the 5'11" players.
Yeah, no, way more girls teams are pressing in our area right now than boys. Way more. It's impressive. All right, anything else? Any shout outs?
No, I'm just patiently waiting for us to go on our Super Bowl run. There it is, right there. Right there.
My gosh.
Just remember, when you're laying in bed tonight and you're thinking, when you're running through your day, just remember Pennsylvania at 1:00, America at 4:00, Pennsylvania at 8:00. That's your next Sunday.
Thank you guys for watching the Midday Show. Thank you to Weiss Markets for being our title sponsor. And be sure to go to NorthcentralPa.com for all your local news.
I don't like when you don't even comment. I don't like
There's nothing to build off of there. I'm Jeff Everett. He's Mark Messina, and we will see you tomorrow.
Go Bulldogs!